And here she writes, the stories were amazing. People had used 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that 5-second rule, to push through fear, procrastination, and excuses to change their jobs, lose 100 pounds, get sober, launch and sell businesses, improve their health and marriages. The medical and clinical uses blew me away. Doctors and psychologists were using it to treat PTSD, OCD, and depression. See, this is what I mean. There are certain systems in place, certain things people figure out, and it can come from the craziest places. She didn't set out to do this. She was struggling badly in her marriage, in her life, in her career, and something happens. She had this moment of inspiration, and it worked. And then, she did so much over the years. She looked into it with science and research, and this is what this channel is about as well. There are things people have figured out, and we can use it, and we can get inspired, and not everything is going to work for everyone. That's another thing. If you try this and it doesn't quite work, first of all, maybe it's because at the beginning, because we haven't figured it out how it works for us. But second, maybe certain things don't work for certain people. Okay, but this seems to be one of those most just universal things, because our brain, in the end, yes, we are all personal, but on the second side as well, we all are the same in a way. Our brain functions the same way. We're all human beings. With our habit creation, how our brain functions is very, very similar. So this is what it's about. We look at things that other people have discovered. We discover them for ourselves. We explore them. We apply them, and we share them. And that's how we get to a better life. And it's a step-by-step process. But it's just, Mel Robbins, man, is such a good example of exactly that, of figuring out certain systems, certain approaches that work, that improve lives, and then we can learn about them, we can apply them, and then we can change our own lives, and then of course pass it on. Because if we pass on our own lessons that we learn to other people, and everyone does that, man, humanity and what we are and who we are, it's just this beautiful bundle of people trying to make things better and better and better. Fantastic, so nice. And this is so funny. She now, she changed her life, but she didn't tell her family. And she's saying that their family and friends were like, Mel giving advice, because she gave a speech, and it went viral and was successful, and she's like, what, her giving advice? Give me a break. She nearly destroyed her own life. And man, this is another reminder. Stick with yourself, okay? Don't be discouraged. If you're discouraged, that's fine, of course, right? That's part of it. But just remember, it doesn't matter how stuck you feel and how terrible things look. You have no idea what you're capable of, and you have no idea what life can do, man. Life is crazy. I keep saying that because it's so true. It can change in ways that you couldn't see coming. And how much have you lived in this world? 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 10 years, 60 years? It doesn't matter, man. You have so much time on this planet. It's so funny. There's this famous Scottish comedian who's saying, life, what do you mean life is short? Because obviously, we hear that, life is short, and there's truth to that. But in the other sense, he's like, life is short. It's the longest thing we ever do. Yes, man, it's the longest thing we ever do. Life. And then also, think about changes that you've had in your life. A lot of times, the whole life can change in 1 year. Sometimes it takes 6 months, and everything just improves. Something changes. So we need to remember that too. If we feel stuck and we do not see the light and we do not have hope, we cannot predict life. Everything can change in a year. So that's just this glimmer of hope to keep holding on to. Life can change so quickly, and we have so much potential. We can grow and learn so much. Stick with it. Stick with yourself. Okay, so now Mel Robbins has discovered her thing. The 5-second rule, it changed her entire life, and she knew she wanted to teach it. She knew she wanted to make this her career, but she had no idea how, okay? First of all, when we have a vision or an interest or some inspiration, you need to remember, we all need to remember, we don't need to exactly know how, okay? It starts with what, and then also why. That's fantastic. But we need to have that a little bit of trust again. We don't need to figure it out exactly right now. And she also says, what right did I have to call myself an expert in anything? Exactly, man. Who are we? Who am I? Who are you to tell me anything? We need to remember that. Think about this, and this is something that I thought about a couple of years ago. Think about this, a 5-year time span, okay? We need to remember that it doesn't matter who you are, where you are in your life, how old you are, what you've done. There are always people behind your growth. There's so many aspects of life. Maybe it's how to read books and you're really good with that. Maybe it's how to go to high school. Maybe it's how to do an exam well. Maybe it's how to I don't know, not kill a cactus. We have figured things out in our lives. Because think about this, you have changed, you've grown in life, okay? A lot of times we don't exactly know why we've changed, how we've grown. But there are life lessons we learn all the time, and they might be very personal in small ways. But let's just take one example, okay? You know how to not kill a cactus. You know how to grow a plant. Fantastic. There are going to be many, many people that are 5 years behind your growth in that. Maybe there's other things you figured out. So it doesn't matter who you are. You don't need to be an expert in anything. If you have figured something out that worked for you in your life, that's the proof. And you can pass that on. And then some people that are behind you in that context, in that growth, they can then hear about the lesson, and that might change their entire life. It doesn't matter, maybe it's a stranger you talk to, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a colleague, and you just mention it and you share because it worked for you. It did work for you. Remember this. You have value to give. You don't need to be an Andrew Huberman to have studied, or like a sleep scientist who's like the top in their field, like Matthew Walker. You don't need to be these people to then talk about it. Of course, there's certain value in that, obviously. But it doesn't matter if you figured something out that works for you, man, you have value to give. And at the same time, now take the 5 years, not look back like there are people behind your growth, but also realize that there's always people ahead of you. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are as well. People have gone through what you have gone through. Even if it's something, traumatizing, something difficult, whether it's anxiety, whether it's conditions you have, it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you're about to go, through an exam, you're about to go through high school, about to go to university, about to start your first job, or about to start your first company. There's always people that have done what you have done, and they can give you value. So that second part is important as well. Not only do we have value to share, because you do, we can also always look to other people, what they have already done, and then see what worked for them. All within the context that it's your personal story, it's your personal path. Some things work for you, some don't. And it's about applying it and trying it and seeing what works, okay? But remember this, you don't need to be an expert in something, because this is the idea. Who am I? Who am I to talk about something? What am I great at? How am I an expert? Don't say that to yourself. You have learned lessons in life that changed your life, that made your life better. And so it can do the same for others.